Welcome to the show, everybody. I am honored to have a good friend and one of the most influential people in this country, Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman. Elise, it was great to see you at the event last week in Buffalo. It was an incredible event. It was great to hear your speech. You were able to motivate so many people. You are an incredible speaker. We really appreciate you being there, and I just wanted to say welcome to the show.
Well, I'm so excited to be here, Dave, and congratulations on your new show. I'm honored to be your first guest. And yes, it was
Yes.
a great event in Erie County and record turnout. You can feel the energy and enthusiasm to save New York State. And of course, you're doing an incredible job, as well as the local Republicans, in representing the hardworking families of Western New York. But boy, New Yorkers know we need to fire Kathy Hochul to save our state once and for all. So a lot of people turned out to hear about our plan to do just that.
And what was great was it wasn't political talk. You have a plan, Elise. It's phenomenal. You know how to take this state back where others have been a little shy about it. You're not. You know exactly how to take this state back because we are at the bottom of the pit. And I can tell you, being in Albany every year and watch it decline year after year, and this being the worst year in my tenure by far, and that's ask any Republican. It's the socialism on steroids, communism right in your face. But the fact is, you are one person who has a vision and it resonates. And what was great is when people hear you speak about it, it really motivates them. I mean, people were literally ready to jump out of their seat and go to work. And that's what we need. We need to take the state back. And as I was telling people at that event when I spoke, you're the right person at the right time. And it's great to see it.
Well, I appreciate it. I look at New York over the course of my lifetime. As you know, Dave, I'm born and raised in upstate New York. I grew up in a small business family. I'm not from a political family. My parents worked very hard to give my brother and I better educational opportunities than they had. And I grew up seeing how difficult it is to grow a business in New York State. And it's even harder now than it was back then. And if you look at the crises that have been created under single party Democrat rule, you have an affordability crisis. And Kathy Hochul is trying to point fingers elsewhere. It is Democrats who control New York State right now. They have the governor's mansion, the state Senate, and the state assembly. They own this affordability crisis. On top of that, you have sky high taxes. And this is an issue I've been working very hard on in Congress to continue to cut taxes for New Yorkers and frankly for all Americans. And New Yorkers should know Kathy Hochul supported the largest tax increase in our nation's history because she opposed the extension of Trump tax cuts. In addition, we delivered significant tax cuts specifically to New Yorkers in raising the cap on state and local tax deduction. That's the biggest tax cut in modern times. Kathy Hochul opposed that as well. She wants to continue to raise taxes, which have happened on her watch, and it's why people are leaving New York State. On top of the economic issues and the bloated budget, which you see firsthand, which is $250 million, which is really, really unthinkable that it has gotten so far. Sorry, $250 billion at this point in New York State. It's outrageous. We also have a crime crisis. If you look at the skyrocketing of crime, the murders, the sanctuary state policies in New York, it is abysmal. It's another reason why there is a mass exodus from New York. We need a strong leader in New York State that supports the police, that gets rid of failed bail reform, that ensures that we are enforcing the law, that includes deporting illegals, many of whom have committed violent crimes against law abiding New Yorkers. And I want to point out when Kathy Hochul had that horrific hearing on Capitol Hill, where I was able to just bulldoze through her in 5 minutes, not even acknowledging these crimes, or a woman burned alive on the subway by an illegal, all on Kathy Hochul's watch.
And I'm going to play that. I just listened to it, and we're going to play that in a few minutes on the show. But what I really was really impressed by is, and it's something I said in the Buffalo event, and when I spoke, and I said that you will not tolerate economic illiteracy and moral confusion, all wrapped up in the language of social progress, and that's what we have with the Democrats. Is I believe that they're being labeled They fear being labeled more than they fear being right, and that's what's driving them because the far left has co-opted the entire Democrat movement, and that now I feel and I think that's where you connect with New York is a lot of the mainstream Democrats are feeling left out and like what happened to my party, and I think that's where you're going to turn, especially in the city, and bring those votes back over to our side because I just got a report last week. The number one demographic leaving New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx is the black community. They can't afford it. You touched on that. They can't afford it. And they're the biggest group out migrating out of this state right now. And if you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would say you're crazy, but it's truth now. So
It's a result of the policies. It's a result of the affordability crisis in New York, the crime crisis, which hurts minority communities, particularly in New York City, but frankly, all across the state. People want safety. They want to be able to raise their families and give better opportunities to their kids to really achieve the American dream. And that's becoming so difficult as the years and failed policies continue to go on in New York. And look at this New York City Democrat mayoral primary, the outcome there. You have a full blown communist. This is not our father or grandfather's generation's Democrat. This is a full blown communist who is an anti Semite who wants to run small businesses out of New York City. And if you look at those that voted for him, it was not the working class that he purports to represent. It was the affluent elites who are do not want to give the working class Americans and working class New Yorkers a voice. And frankly, this state was built by the working class, and we need to fight for the working class. These are hard earned taxpayer dollars that are going to wasted, far left, progressive, radical causes in New York State. And then it continues to be more and more burdensome with regulation upon regulation for small businesses, for families, just to make ends meet. So today's Democrat Party is really encapsulated in Mamdami's win in the New York City mayoral primary. Kathy Hochul and senior New York Democrats like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they are going to be forced to bend the knee to this communist. They already are. And the media is trying to turn the cheek the other way. We all remember, Dave, in 2016 till now, reporters would chase us down about who Republicans voted for in the primary. In the case of the New York City mayoral race, both Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries voted in that mayoral primary. Not a single reporter has asked them and pinned them down on who they voted for, whether they voted for Mamdami. They own this craziness and this anti Semite, and New Yorkers are waking up. They want common sense, and they're going to want to check on this if he wins this November. And Kathy Hochul is not a
right. Well, if he wins in November, I don't think people have a clue the chaos that's going to erupt. They think it's just New York City, but it's not because what he does in New York City, remember, the communists and the socialists control both branches of government in Albany, the Assembly and the Senate, and they will give him whatever he wants. They control every purse. It's going to affect every single person in the state. It's going to reach up to Buffalo. It's going to reach up to the North Country and in big ways, especially when those businesses in New York City, which have those corporations said, we're out. There's no way when he starts talking about confiscating the wealth, confiscating the means of production, we're looking at out migration. The fact that I've got a report that says if he gets elected in the first year, there's a possibility of 1 million people leaving.
No, it's a travesty, and it's a result of their policies. And I saw some chatter. Kathy Hochul is the best real estate agent for the state of Florida. Ron DeSantis has said that as well because it's only going to further fuel the mass exodus from our state. And it doesn't have to be this way. New Yorkers deserve so much better. That's why you're seeing not just Republicans but independents and Democrats as well, yearning for a new generation of leadership that's common sense, that is able to bring things under control in New York. We shouldn't be ranked the bottom of the list when it comes to a state for good for business. We're at the bottom right now. We should be number one. We are the empire state. We should be the leading state in the nation, and instead we are the furthest behind in so many metrics.
Right. And I was going to say, with the big, beautiful bill, Elise, it's getting play, positive, negative, but when it comes to New York, what are some of the items in that bill which you think are really going to help turn New York around or give it a chance at least against this government, against Kathy Hochul?
Number one, it's the tax cuts. When we have an affordability crisis, Kathy Hochul wants the largest tax increase in our nation's history. She wants those Trump tax cuts to expire. We delivered an extension of the Trump tax cuts. On top of that, we increased the ability to deduct state and local taxes, which are horrifically high in New York, by 300%, four times over, to make sure that it is a large tax break for New Yorkers. It's the largest tax break ever in modern history, and House Republicans delivered that. On top of that, we increased funding for border security to push back on these failed and dangerous sanctuary state policies, allowing there to be thousands of new Border Patrol as well as ICE officers to deport these violent illegal criminals who have been wreaking havoc on community, who have been murdering, killing, slaughtering law abiding New Yorkers. It has to stop. On top of that, there are child care provisions to make child care more accessible and affordable for families, whether you're from rural, suburban, or urban communities. In addition, there are school choice provisions to incentivize educational opportunity and putting parents in the driver's seat. On energy policy, we are promoting energy independence and cutting the red tape at the federal level. That needs to happen in New York, Dave. We should be an energy leader in the country, not a moratorium on fracking, which is under Kathy Hochul's failed rule. If you go across the border in Pennsylvania, small communities are booming economically, and the New York southern tier is left further and further behind. So, whether it's energy, the economy, taxes, education, childcare, this bill are all of President Trump and Republicans' promises that we won overwhelmingly the popular vote last election cycle, and we delivered it within 6 months. And people are going to see the economic benefit by the time they go to the polls next November.
And I think it goes beyond that. And I'm going to touch this on another show. But the fact is, if you become governor, you will be able to watch out over the census. And when Kathy Hochul the other day said over 20 million people, New Yorkers, and the census shows no word about 17 million right now. So she's lying about it, just like Governor Cuomo did. And if we have a correct census, we're going to take back the Senate. We have a good chance of really evening up the numbers, because it's going to be, when we show the real population drain in New York City, the power is going to move out, and they can't have that. That's the biggest fear that New York Democrats have, is losing the power of New York City, which controls every aspect of our life. And that's where we're going to need you to step up. And when you become governor, it's just going to be, what a breath of fresh air. We're waiting on you to make an announcement, and we know that'll be coming whether you do or don't. But Elise, that you have an incredible amount of support across the state. What a base you have. And I won't put you on the spot, but I really love your vision of New York. Is there anything else with this big, beautiful bill that you want to touch on, or
Well,
what
it's an
else?
overwhelming win, and I want to touch upon the issues of Medicaid. We want to strengthen and protect Medicaid. That's what this bill does. What Kathy Hochul does in New York State and what Democrats want is to use our hard earned taxpayer dollars for illegals. We should not be supporting these government programs for illegals. In New York, it has become an illegals first, New Yorkers last. So this is about strengthening Medicaid, improving health care for hardworking New Yorkers who frankly are qualify for those benefits. It should not go towards illegals. In addition, Medicaid under Kathy Hochul is the worst run Medicaid program in the country. There is no
Amen.
question about that. On any metric, she has run it into the ground. It's fiscally irresponsible. And who's footing the bill? We are, as taxpayers in New York. It needs to be cleaned up, again, to improve and strengthen these programs. The waste, fraud, and abuse in New York's Medicaid program is rampant under Kathy Hochul. And she's also doing significant budget gimmicks, which we are doing oversight of right now, to plug the holes. And again, who is footing the bill? It is the New York taxpayers. So, as she wants to discuss Medicaid this election cycle, we are going to have that discussion, and we're going to make sure that every New Yorker knows that she's prioritizing giving these government programs to illegals and not New Yorkers.
Amen. And you know that I was told yesterday that we're going to be going back at some point back into Albany because Democrats did not put anything in the budget with the Medicaid issue, and they're going to look at probably raising your taxes unbelievable amount in the next month or two when we after the summer when we go back into Albany for a special session because of their huge fiscal irresponsibility in this last year's budget. So the stars are aligning, Elise. Kathy Hochul is the worst governor in the history of New York State. She's been voted the worst governor in the country. And that's tough to do when you've got Gavin Newsom and some others out there. So, I mean, it's really, they've set the bar so low. And as I always tell people, she just, I don't expect much out of her, and she still disappoints me. She just is a disappointment at every level. She's totally controlled by the far left. And it's a shame because there's so much opportunity. And that's what I love about you. You talk about the opportunity. She talks about the failures and how she can't do something. And you talk about what we can do. You're like Ronald Reagan. You give people hope, and I really enjoy that. That's a message that's going to resonate in the state.
Yes, and President Trump talks about the golden age in America. We need a golden age in New York. We need to return to being the leader in the country and not settle for being the bottom of the list when it comes to economic competitiveness. If you look at so many of the policies, whether it's the taxes, the regulation, the anti-agricultural policies, it has run people, businesses, entrepreneurs out of our state. We need to be the leading state in the nation, and that's what I talk about. It is important to put forth a positive vision. We are doing that. New Yorkers deserve that instead of this malaise under Kathy Hochul, settling for worse than mediocrity, for absolute failure. And Dave, you talked about how she's the worst governor in America. We say it because it's true. And I used to talk about Governor Cuomo as the worst governor in America, and I never thought we'd have someone worse. But as I said in Erie County, Kathy Hochul makes the impossible possible. She is truly the worst governor in America, much worse because of the incompetence that she has shown and the weakness, way worse than Governor Cuomo. So we have an opportunity. I'm going to continue crisscrossing the state, and I'm not going to hold back from showing the contrast to voters of her failed policies and our vision to save this state.
Well, Elise, and I said it, and I'll say it again because I'm going to, but throughout history, one person with the right vision and the right message can change history. As I said before, you are that person right now. If you choose to run, I think we can make history. So I want to thank you for being on the show. You're such an incredible person, a great friend. We stand with you. You've got an army of people that are willing to take this battle to New York State. Anything you need, and would love to have you on again.
Thanks, Dave. Good luck with the show.
Thanks, Elise. Take care.